Can you hear me? There I am. Hello, hello, and welcome to the Color Whisperer Show, where we talk about all things home and healing. I'm Jeanette Chasworth, and I am the Color Whisperer. And I'm here today to talk to you about getting in your own way, self love. It's Valentine's Day, right? So, if you have a partner, it was a great festive day. Some people just like, oh, it's just another day. They don't celebrate so much. It is a little bit of a Hallmark holiday because really we should tell those that we love them every day and not just wait till there's some day on the calendar that says, oh, we're supposed to share, right? So, and a lot of girls did Galentine's Day. I don't know, Mark, do you guys do a guy version of that? But women tend to support each other, and it's like if we're single, you go hang out with your girlfriends and you still get that special feeling of love. I mean, that's kind of what the day's about, right? So I was thinking about what I was going to talk about today, and we're going to talk a little bit about self-love. Now, I know that word gets overused and blah, blah, blah. I hate it myself. Okay. Oh, you just need to love yourself more, and I just want to respond with some very short 4-letter words that, because people don't really get it. But I've had some clients in the last few weeks, and it was really interesting to me how they were getting in their own way. And it really had to do with they didn't feel that they deserved what they really wanted. And part of it's self-love, right? So it's like, okay, I'm, whatever it is you grew up with, we all have our money story, right? My dad was a roofer. It was feast and famine, feast and famine. Some months were good, other months were not so good. So we all have this story of what we're worth. Am I worth a diamond ring? Am I worth designer jewelry? Am I worth designer clothes? Am I worth expensive shoes? A friend of mine was telling me a story the other day. She had the biggest job of her life. And how did she reward herself? She went and she got some Louis Vuitton shoes. And it was a sign of I did something successful and I'm going to treat myself to something afterwards. And something that, at least for her, was a symbol of wealth, a symbol of luxury. I don't know. They were like 4-inch spikes. I don't know if I would call them comfort, but she sure felt sexy in them, let me tell you. And the dress she had on, yeah, this was part of my Galentine's, but yeah, she looked like $1,000,000 in these. And so that felt good. That was comforting. That was raising her up. And we all have what that is for us. My dad loved to eat out. That was his thing. Didn't have to be fancy, but my mother was kind of hard for her to cook, and he felt like a king if he could make enough money where she didn't have to cook. That was his thing. He was also kind of funny because, like, as a roofer, he would come home all times of day. It wasn't a set schedule, and he wanted dinner as soon as he got on the home. Like, he wanted it on the table. And he was not an unrealistic man because he could come home anywhere between 2 and we had a rule he had to be home by 6 or a phone call. But everybody had to follow that rule. But we had, so anywhere between 2 and 6, he could come home. Once in a while, it was later, rain, traffic, these things happen, right? But so there's no way, and this is before cell phones. So, and with the traffic pattern that he had coming home, it was pretty bad. And, getting off the freeway to go make a phone call could add half an hour onto his road. If that took 10 minutes, that could add half an hour onto his time. And back then we weren't so dependent on all this information anyway, right? So he didn't expect my mother to guess when he was going to come home. Now, if it was convenient for him to say, hey, I'm leaving, I'll be home in 40 minutes, he would do that. But a lot of times it wasn't. And he would come home and he didn't expect her to have dinner just waiting for whenever he decided to come home. But he'd come, okay, we'll go out. So that was his wealth. And we each have that story for us, whatever it is, doesn't matter. So I was with a client, and it was very interesting. And this is what I see with a lot of people when they're starting to do their home design, is they get stuck in the past. They get stuck in other people's ideas of what should be in their home. I had a client one time. We did really good. We did this beautiful house where we were looking for furniture. We'd done our bathrooms, our kitchen, floors, new paint, window treatments. Now it was time to fill her living room. And she wanted a library. And we found this wonderful, I created a wonderful bookshelf system for her. And then we went shopping. Well, we fell in love, head over heels in love. She had a recliner. Okay, fine. And that was good for her to curl up in books with. And we found this little table. It's about 12 inches wide. Maybe it was 18 by 12. Maybe it's 12 by 12. And it's been a while. Small table. And it was copper. And it had all these little rivulets. The texture on it was stunning. So they had done the rivulets coming down, and then the way the copper evolved as it went through it. This was just an absolutely stunning piece of furniture. And we looked at the price. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was $1,000, $1,200. And she's like, I really love it, Jeanette. I really love it. But I can't spend $1,200 on something so small. But the thing is, it was the perfect fit for what we needed, actually. And it fit everything else we'd done in the room. And I said, but it's perfect. She goes, I know, it really is. She took a deep breath and she bought it. And then we're looking at a little bit later on, and we went into a showroom. Now, this is a high-end showroom. I've never seen anything this cheap in a showroom of that quality before. They had a sofa, little love seat, really. It was very small. And this is a place where their fabric usually is like $100 a yard. That's almost even like my cost. It's expensive fabric, right? And it's a very good fabric, but it's a little high. So this was a sofa made from their fabric and been on their sample floor for a while. They only wanted $400 for it. Holy crap, that's a bargain no matter what, right? And we're going to have a visitor. This is Pixie. Pixie, get out. Pixie, no. So, $400. Now, we did have to redo the insides of the seats, another $200 or $300. Still an awesome deal. So I told her, I said, just reverse the prices. The table's $400 and the sofa's $1,000. I said, nobody has to know. Nobody has to know what you spent on any of this. It's your business. So we end up putting the room together, and it's beautiful. And she loves it. It makes her happy, so very happy. And it's funny. She's like, Jeanette, when I die, nobody else is going to appreciate this table but you. Will you take it? I'm like, I would be honored. So I wish her a long and happy life. And apparently I may have a table coming. But my point is that this was out of her comfort zone of what should she spend on a table. This was out of her comfort zone as what she should spend on herself, even though she loved it. Fortunately, she was able to do that. And, the sofa kind of helped make it. We went back and we got the sofa helped. And mind you, she had spent plenty of money on her house. Like $1,200 was not, deal breaker. Like she'd already spent other money on the house. Like this was not, but it was on such a small item. Had a client recently, and she says to me, Jeanette, I don't want something custom. I'm like, okay, that's fine. She says, but can we go to like a high-end retail place and get something that's good? I want something good quality, but I just don't want to go custom. I said, well, that's fine. I said, I actually have a line that is amazing. And I do have a line that's very affordable. And they have this stuff they call angel hair on it. So it feels like down, but it doesn't have down kind of gets frumpy and stuff. It doesn't, you got to play with it a lot. So, and some people don't like down because it's not allergenic. Sorry, they're allergic to down. So this has got all the plus of down, but it's not down. So it's got a lot of other pluses too. But you sit on this sofa and you just melt. It's like heaven. And I told her, I said, look, I've got something to show you. And I said, it's amazing. I said, and it's going to be about, I knew she wasn't talking about, what I as a designer think of as high-end retail. But I figured we're at least like Ethan Allen. I didn't think we were going Baker Knapp and Tubbs, but I was thinking at least Ethan Allen, okay? And so I bring her there and she sits in the sofa and she's like, oh my gosh, this is the most comfortable thing I've ever sat in. And I said, see, I told you it's wonderful. She goes, oh, but I can't afford this. She never asked. She didn't ask me how much it was. I can't afford this. Now, we created a budget. She was looking to spend $3,000 to $5,000 on a sofa. You know how much the sofa costs and the size she wanted? $2,000. Very affordable. It was under her budget. And not just by a little bit, under her budget. Even by the time we got it delivered and with tax, it was still under her budget. But the level of luxury that provided, she ended up not allowing herself. She ended up getting something that was much less. And it wasn't anywhere near as comfortable because she wasn't allowing herself the comfort of what could be. Yeah, she saved about $500, And I know there's some money stuff going on there too, but it was like their budget originally was $3,000 to $5,000. So the money was there. And she got something that was nowhere near as comfortable because in her world, there was only so much room for that. And so these are the things I see when I'm working with clients is, wait a second, what if I can step into that next level of luxury? I tend to get a lot of people who it's their first time hiring a designer. So they don't really know what that really, they're like, oh, well, I just want you to do this. No, wait a second. Another client called me. They wanted special pillows. They wanted to find out what the cost was on the pillows if we wanted to do this. I said, okay. And I said, well, they said, well, what would it cost? I said, well, pillow fabrication is going to be about this much. There's fabric. We need at least a yard of fabric. Fabric's going to be like $50 to $100. And then we've got an hour of my time. And they're like doing all this. And he says, well, I can just go to Target and buy some pillows. I'm like, you can. So it depends on what do you want. You can, the thing is when you hire a designer, you're hiring so much more than just somebody to take some time off of your we're coordinating everything. We're dealing with all the people involved. We're seeing a bigger picture than you are. And we're offering you a level of luxury that you didn't know existed. And it doesn't mean it's like, okay, I drive I don't know, what's a good car? I don't know, Ford Escort. That's old. What's new? I don't know. I'm not a car person. But like, I've got a little basic, $15,000, $20,000 car. Okay. And I'm trying to step into a Range Rover. No, it doesn't have to be that way. But like with my lady with the rivulet, it's okay. What if you have the stereo of the Range Rover? If that makes your day, what if you've got your car, but you go out and you get a Bose radio station for radio speakers and stuff for your car? And that's going to make every time you get in the car, you're going to feel like $1 million. My friend with the Louis Vuitton shoes, she was wearing a dress that was pretty basic. I mean, it wasn't a super expensive dress, but the shoes made it so. And made her feel like $1 million. Not everything has to be expensive, but if there's something that is going to give you that comfort, give you that feeling like $1 million and cost just a little bit more than what you might normally spend, why not? Why not give this gift to yourself? Oh, sorry. Give this gift to yourself. That's what you're doing when you are recreating, right? It's makeover time. That's what home design is about. It's about the ultimate makeover. I've had clients that they like, I want this brand. Why? Why do you want this brand? The client, she ended up buying something at Lazy Boy. Nothing wrong with Lazy Boy. It's not high-end comfort. But we have stuck in our heads of this is a brand I go to for X, right? I had a potential client years ago call me and she says, oh, well, I have very expensive furniture. I'm like, okay, tell me what do you have? Well, I have a Pottery Barn. And see, this is what she knew. Now, in my world, Pottery Barn is not expensive furniture by any means. And yet for her, this was as high as she knew how to reach. This is what she knew as far as luxury. She didn't know there was all these other things out there. She doesn't read the magazines that have the ads. She hasn't been to the showroom. She doesn't know. And honestly, most people don't, because they're not in that world. If you're in that world, if you're reading the Architectural Digest, if you're reading, you're going to see some of these other lines advertised, because they're advertising to designers, they're advertising to people, they're advertising to everybody, say, hey, look, there's more out there. But there's so much more out there that I have access to as an interior designer than most people can even imagine. And the client with the pillows, he's like, do you have pillow fabric? Can you match this? And I said, I have access to millions of fabric. How close do you want to match it? Millions of fabrics I have at my fingertips. I can create something really stunning. And it's like this, in that case, okay, yes, you can buy a pillow for $50, or you can have a pillow that's, $300. The pillow for $50 can do the job, but the pillow for $300, you're buying special fabric, $100 fabric. That may be just the fabric that sets off your room, pulls everything together. You're getting down. Usually you don't get down in the stores, but you're getting down inside, which adds a level of comfort. And it's something that you get to choose and you get to create, right? Can't go to, you can go to Target or wherever and you say, okay, I like that pillow. Does it work? It works. It doesn't work. I can choose what size pillow I want. Do I want a roll pillow? Do I want a square pillow? Do I want 22 inches? Do I want 24 inches? Get to choose. And that choice is where the luxury comes in. You can buy a whole box of Oreos for like, I don't know, $3 or $4. I don't buy Oreos, but box of cookies, $4 or $5. And, some people love Oreos. I personally don't like them. That's just my taste. Let's just use some chocolate chip cookies. How about that? But it doesn't matter. They're mass made. They really aren't, most people who love them, they love to dunk them in milk. So they don't just eat them by themselves, or maybe they just eat the cream. But when you think of Oreos, you think about dunking them. So you can have all that, or you can go get 7 layers chocolate cake. And that may cost you $7, $8, maybe 12, depending on where you go. But the taste difference between the two, wow, right? Oreo or 7-layer chocolate fudge cake, yum, And maybe it's just the difference between vanilla ice cream and chocolate fudge ice cream. Same cost, but you can have vanilla. I like vanilla. Or you can have something really exotic and mouth-wateringly wonderful. There's a ice cream place near me, and they always have unique flavors. And I go in there and I'm like, what's different? What's different? What's different? It doesn't cost me anything more to have something more unique. And maybe their overall price is a couple dollars more than, say, Baskin Robbins or Thrifties. But it's worth it. Because what I'm getting is so different, so unique. And the customer service is there too. So, with Oreos, you're just reaching in a box. Yum, yum, yum. 7-layer chocolate cake served to you on a plate. Hopefully with a smile. And it's a celebration. So what do you want your life to be? An Oreo? Where you're just kind of eating to pass the time away and you're just watching TV and you're bored and it's just feeling that desire to chew something? Or do you want a celebration of life? Something that makes you feel good, where you look at it and it's a thing of beauty. And as you take the first bite, wow, and you enjoy every bite. And you're celebrating. Oftentimes you get something like that. You're celebrating, you're out with friends, maybe it's a birthday, whatever. But usually you get something like that. There's some kind of celebration happening. Every day is a celebration. Every day, our homes, we should be surrounded by things that give us that much joy, that much beauty. Look at this. I got myself tulips the other day. They are so pretty. Let's see. Will it come out? Look at this. Okay. Got a bouquet of tulips for $10. Very little money, right? But look at how stunning this is. This has been opening over the last week. Look at the colors. This is so beautiful. We need to recognize the beauty all around us. And with simple things, we can create more beauty to our lives. Oh, there we go. Let's not do that. Let's fix that. Okay. We'll just turn it. But we want to celebrate. everything in our home. What's the, you know, organizer stand advice? And I've used this many times as well. If you don't love it, it shouldn't be in your house. You know, what's her name made it famous, but designers have been saying it forever. Organizers have been saying it forever. This is Pixie. Isn't she pretty? Come here, Pixie. Come here. Oh, see, she's shy. She might come back. She's very tiny. She's very tiny and she's very beautiful. But having those things of beauty around us is what gives us joy. You know, your house gets messy, right? We all have that time where you're sick, you're busy, you're stressed, depressed, whatever. And the house gets messy. And here she is. Say hi. No? Okay.
She doesn't want to say hi. I thought she was trying to be the star of the show.
I don't know. She's just, there she is.
There she goes. She's trying to be
There
the
she
star.
is.
She wants to show her face, but she doesn't want to show her face.
Doesn't want to show her face. Let's see if I can. No.
She's like, camera. I don't want to see camera. Just want to show y'all myself.
You know, they actors always say, kids and animals, you never want to act with them because you can't depend on them.
You can't depend on them. You can't control them.
You can't control them. So
they have a mind of their own. And
they
you asked
do.
earlier if there was a guy version of the women's night out. And yes, sometimes guys will get together, but I don't know if there is the guy version of Valentine's Day, at least not that I've heard about, but definitely maybe that should be a thing or something. But
right. Is girls are better at supporting each other than guys are typically. I'm being very stereotypical, but you know, I think the guys should be doing that, you know?
Could be an interesting thing. That could be a way to get over those troublesome times. Because some people were not that happy that Valentine's Day was this past couple of days ago because they're like, I don't have a significant other. And actually, on Valentine's Day, I was working, but it was working an event because over at the Haytime Center where I work at, we're having one of those candlelight concerts. So they will rent a venue, and that is a international event because it's actually run by a company I think called Fever. But they will rent a venue and then put all those fancy candles out, and then it becomes like a date night. But it was mostly date night. But I have also seen families come out. I think I saw somebody come out like on a father-daughter or mother-son kind of outing as well. So there were definitely some family people that were using it as an occasion because I think they were doing the music from Romeo and Juliet is the music that they were doing on this particular one. But they've done different ones. There was even one that they did that was a tribute to the music of Taylor Swift, and one that was a tribute to Vivaldi, and then one that was a tribute back to horror movies and all along those lines. So they do different ones. And
whoa. It was a concert movie with horror movie music? I mean, a concert with horror movie music?
Yes, that was like I said, they have different themes, and this was one that they did. This wasn't for the one on Valentine's. I think this was maybe a little closer to like October, November, or Halloween. Yeah. But yes, it was a lot of the
talk about scary because it's the music that makes it scary.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's the music that makes it scary. If you watch it on mute, it's like no big deal.
Yeah, and there's some horror movies that I was not a big fan of. It carried me away from horror movies for a while and everything because I was going like, it is not the answer. So it was not the answer for me and everything.
No.
But yeah. But
when I was a kid, we used to go see Oingo Boingo in concert. That was a big deal. That back then they used to do. So I'm dating myself because that's how I know Danielle is Oingo Boingo. But you know, kids today they're like, oh yeah, you know the princess the Nightmare Before Christmas guy. I'm like, yeah, way before that. So, but he used to do concerts for Halloween every year. And they would sell out Irvine Meadows for like a week. It was a big deal. So I went to that a few times. And I know that, was it this last year or maybe the year before? He played the Hollywood Bowl. It might have been both years, but he played the Hollywood Bowl. And it was all the Nightmare Before Christmas stuff. And then towards the end, he played a couple of Oingo Boingo songs. And So apparently some of the kids are like, "Oh, what's this? You know, we don't like this."
Oh, yeah. Jeanette, you talk about self love earlier and everything, and one
Yeah.
thing I was thinking about was that there were some people that I guess were expecting a form of self love to take place. You know, it's not always that people that are wanting that romantic proposal to happen and everything. So I know a lot of people were thinking that they wanted to hear the proposal after the Super Bowl, which was this past Sunday, of Travis Kelsey to Taylor Swift. That did not happen because, as a friend of mine put it, would you really want to have that much pressure on yourself, even if you are Taylor Swift, that you had to say yes or no in front of millions, if not billions, of people, and
Oh,
everything along those lines? And that he opted not to do that, and a lot of people thought that was very respectful. But the star of the halftime show literally did marry his longtime love. I think it was the day after the Super Bowl. So Usher is now married because he's been involved with this young lady for a while, and I think they've got kids together. But literally the day after his Super Bowl show, he did the Vegas marriage because he has been living in Vegas apparently for a while and doing a lot of shows in Vegas. But he went ahead and got married there in Vegas. So his longtime love and him are now an official couple. So he did
wow. I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I know there's been a lot of fuss over Shania Twain and the football guy, but I didn't know they were expecting them to propose.
yeah,
That is a lot of pressure. That's
that's
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
pressure. I
yeah,
mean, and honestly, I think a proposal should be very individual. And when you're in front of that many people, I think it takes a little bit of romance away. I mean, that's the whole world watching, you know? And you're right, she wouldn't have any choice but to say yes. And
right.
that's really not, if you have to do that to get a yes, that's not the, you know, that doesn't usually end up well. So
Yeah.
I don't think it, I mean, it's, if you want to do it publicly, that's fine, but that's such a huge public arena. Oh
Well, I
my
know, but
goodness.
then you also got the people. I don't know that they've done it lately because it takes money and it takes resources. But I do know that before the pandemic, you would always hear about the folks that would hire a plane and fly over their
Yeah.
significant other's
Yeah.
house and propose using the skywriters and everything. And I think that that's a lot of pressure as well. One, you got to go to the outside, look up at the sky, and two, that I mean, if everybody's seeing that you are proposing through the air. It's not like you can hide that proposal.
Well,
So
yeah, but you don't know who it is. Most of the time, Mary, will you marry me, Johnny? I mean, it's like half the people aren't going to know who it is.
right,
Maybe if you live in a tiny town, then yeah, everybody knows. But in the city, I don't know. My neighbor's 5 doors down.
yeah. So that can make it easier if you don't know the people in your circle that kind of way and everything. So yeah, that can definitely make it easier and everything. But yeah, I'm always thinking about that because I'm going like, yeah, if you did that, then everybody's going to know. But like you said, we've gotten away from that knowledge, and I don't even know that I know that many of my neighbors as well because we've gotten into this society where a lot of times we are insulated from those that we live in
Oh,
near and everything. So that's something that could be part of that self love is getting to know your neighbors. And I do have a couple of neighbors that I do talk to regularly. There was a friend that moved to another apartment, but he was living in the same apartment here, so I kept in touch with him. There was a Brazilian woman that has a garden and does a lot of gardening, and there's a gentleman that's kind of like every community has its mayor. So it's kind of like the person that does a lot of the keeping around and everything. I was joking to was talking to mom, and we remember that my now late uncle was the mayor of Harris Teeter. So everybody knew that he would be the one that people would talk to and would recognize him by name when he went to Harris Teeter because he was going there regularly. And there's the same thing in apartment complexes. So I would say that Andrew, even though it's not his official title, definitely in the building that he lives in and probably several of the other buildings, they know him. He'll run errands for him and a number of other things. So he is the mayor of Duke Manor as far as I'm concerned because he
ah,
definitely seems to be known in this area and is the one that will run errands. But it's not just here. I think he was a former professor, so he'll help some folks out that are still at the university and other friends and associates of his as well. So yeah, he's probably like the semi-mayor of Durham and everything, but definitely the mayor of the neighborhood.
I don't know if we have anything like that. I mean, we have people that have businesses that will go do stuff like that for you, but
You don't have
you
anybody
know,
that You don't have anybody that is part of that their self love that they like to care for others or help others or be kind to others. Because I don't know that Andrew gets anything out of it. I've never seen any money exchange. I think that he's just a good hearted person. So you don't have any people like that in your neighborhood or that you've known in your life, either there in California or in
Well,
other places.
I mean, I know people who are kind and who do go out of their way for people, but not in the way that you're talking about. I know somebody, her business, she calls herself, um, well, she's kind of like a Girl Friday, and it's Diff will do it. And so whatever you want, whether it's picking somebody up from the airport, whether it's babies, not so much. She does more elder sitting than babysitting, but she has done some babysitting. But it's more elder sitting, taking care of the elderly. She does painting. She hangs pictures. You need to move this, you need to move that. She'll come over and she's kind of handy, and she has limits of what she can do, but she's one person, right? But she does light stuff. Hey, let's build this, let's build that. You bought your IKEA crap and you can't. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, you bought your IKEA frustration piece and you don't want to do it. She'll put it together for you, so stuff like that. And it's just kind of whatever needs doing, she'll do. She gets paid for that.
Right.
Um, and yeah, I mean, yes, we have nice people here, but somebody who like that's all they do is just run around and do errands for somebody. You know, I'm not aware of it anyway.
Yeah. There might be some people like that, but yeah, it is a rare breed. But that's one of those people that has empathy for others, and like I said, it is a rare breed and everything along those lines. I want to say that he's in his somewhere between mid-60s, so might even be in his early 70s and everything. But definitely, it is a rare breed of folks to do that. And I want
Oh, he was retired. Oh yeah, I could see myself doing that if I was retired and I didn't. I mean, I'm not going to retire until I can't see. I'm going to do. I love what I do.
oh yeah.
Either so I can't see or people stop hiring me, then this is my world.
Yeah, you do great in your world and everything along those lines. But I was actually thinking about that self-love attitude because a lot of times we don't want to do that. Of course, a lot of people were frustrated with their self-love during the Valentine's time because I also find that that's when people are overly critical of themselves because they're like, why don't I have a significant other sitting here? Or why don't I have this or that? So I do think that sometimes Valentine's Day, which is only 2 days ago, can be a time that people are overly critical of themselves. But I don't know your thoughts around that because I do find that the holidays,
Yeah.
and like you said earlier, it is a somewhat of a Hallmark holiday.
Right. Well, I think too, I mean, because, I was a little bit in that boat myself, but I had some girls that I hung out with and it was okay. But it's like, I'm a nice person. I think I was a good wife, you know, and I'm like, okay, so what's going on? I think I'm pleasant enough to look at. There's nothing horrible about me, you know, but part of it is just being open. How often do you go to the grocery store and you don't even smile at somebody?
Right.
How you can't find somebody sitting on your couch. It's not going to happen. You've got to go out,
That is true.
and
Yeah.
whatever that means to you. I go dancing on Saturday nights. It hasn't
Mhm.
created a love of my life yet, but I go out, I have fun. And it's really about, that's part of self-care too, is like, if you're sitting home saying, oh, I can't, nobody loves me, nobody wants me, blah 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 blah, that's just creating more of that. So the key is, okay, it's Valentine's Day, I'm home alone, I'm alone, okay, what can I do to make it fun? What can I do to have fun and to have joy anyway? Whatever that means to you. Do you sit and dance? Have a little your own personal dance party? Do you watch your favorite movie? Do you go take a bath? Um, call up a friend. Let's. There's so many ways, but really, happiness. When we're sad and we're depressed, we're not going to find somebody. And really, even if you do, that's not somebody you want because they're going to stay sad and depressed too. So it's more about how can we be
Mhm.
happy? How can we be joyful in ourselves? That's really what self-love is about. is about getting our needs satisfied. And so, what's going to make you happy? Because you shouldn't be dependent on somebody else for your happiness. Yes, will a good relationship bring you a lot of happiness? But if you're looking for that solution, that's when you start getting into codependent stuff and it gets ugly. And it should be, I'm content in me, and that person's just going to add another dimension to my life.
Yeah, that makes a
That's,
lot. That makes a
you
lot of
know,
sense. And more people need to do that and everything. Now, I do know that sometimes people you were talking about going out dancing, and sometimes people will go to dancing or go to the bars or even find love in their church and a number of other places. But I do know that there was a time that I knew some folks that were younger than me, only by a few years, so they might be in their 50s now, but they used to go regularly to the grocery store. That's where they found their romance. So who knows? Maybe the grocery store could be a great place. I kind of, my uncle was definitely very much involved with my aunt and was married to her for many years. So I don't think there was any potential of that happening and everything. But you know, you got folks that find romance in the most unusual of places. So maybe the
it's
grocery store is
true.
a place
It's
that folks
true. They
can
say that, but I tell you, every time I go in the grocery store, it's women. Or if I see a man, he's got a list and he's on the phone. Honey, which one do I get? And it's like he's on the phone. Do you want this one or this brand? What do you know? And I'm like, oh man, I mean, I'm sure there's single guys out there going grocery shopping. I haven't seen them. I did have a guy one time. I'd call it a friendly flirt. We were
find.
just kind of chatting, and we were talking, and it wasn't going anywhere romantic, and I wasn't really interested in him anyway. But we were just got to chatting, and he was telling me about some of his life, an interesting part of his life, and it was nice. And then his girlfriend or wife or whatever she was came up, and she's like, she saw us chatting. She's like, "Oh, come here," you know. And
She
like,
ended
I'm
that
no
love.
threat. I'm no threat. I don't want him. He's like way older than me. I'm like, he was like 70. I'm like, no, I'm not going there, you know? But,
Well, speaking of
but
older, it was the
he
younger people
was
that
like,
told me.
come here. She reined him in. And I'm like, yeah, you can have him. I don't want him.
Go on. But
But,
speaking of that and everything, it was actually when some certain friends of mine were younger, and like I said, they're now in their, I'm in my 60s, they're now in their 50s and everything, but they were part of more of my brother's generation or brother's crowd and everything. But yes, they used to talk about going Krogering because they would go late night shopping late in the evening because that is when they felt that some of those younger women might be going grocery shopping. And that's what I meant when I said maybe it's the time also, because definitely that's what they used to jokingly call going Krogering because that was a popular grocery store. They weren't talking about going at a regular hour. It's more like the after hours kind of hour because it's one of those 24-hour grocery stores. So that's might be when people are going to get beer or going to get some of
like
their
at 10
after
o'clock at
night.
night, that sounds like a pickup thing. If somebody's getting beer at 10 o'clock at night, they're not looking for a relationship. They're just like, hey, come home with me. Yeah.
But I'm saying that
Yeah.
they were probably trying to find folks that were in that I guess that's when they felt that certain women were out and all along those lines. I mean, it's kind of like there was a couple of very popular late night dineries here in Durham, North Carolina, and I'm sure there was some picking up going in some of those places because it's where people would go after the clubs. So some of these
Yeah.
places don't exist anymore, but I'm sure, and there's other ones that do exist, but there are clubs both here, and I'm sure they're out in California that are going to be open late, like after you've gone dancing or you've gone to some of your concerts and things that that if you went single or if you went stag, that the people might be there in a similar boat if you went to some of those late night joints. Like here, we have a
Well,
place called Pan Pan and another place called Honey's.
considering I was with someone from the time I was 18 till the time I was 47, I don't know those places.
Understood.
I'm showing up late to whole dating scenes. I don't know those places, but I'm sure they exist. I'm not aware of them.
Yeah, I'm sure they exist somewhere in California. Who knows where they are or what they are, but I'm sure they
we
exist.
do
Just like
have we do have some speakeasies here, which are kind of fun. So there's one, it's called the Red Door, and it's a building, and it just has a red light over the door. And you just go in, and it's a regular, bar. There's no There's another one where when I first found out about it, I'm like, oh, and I got a friend to go. And it's kind of a hidden door in the wall. It's like a panel they've made into a door. And we went too early because she likes to get up early. And I'm like, so we ended up going there like 6 or 7 o'clock. I'm like, who goes to a bar at 6 or 7 o'clock? Give me a break. But anyway, we went. And there was a bouncer outside. And I'm like, well, you're kind of telling the tale here that this is what it is, you know? And he's like, oh, are you looking for the speakeasy? I'm like, yeah. It was kind of fun to go in, but it was too early. We were like the only ones there. So, but there's another one in LA that I went to with another friend, and it's really cool. So it's an old fashioned barbershop, and um, it's got the stripes. Now it's inside because for some reason that became illegal to have the twisted barber.
Yeah, the little
Apparently
pole
it
thing.
brings too much attention. I don't know. It's silly, but it's illegal. So they have it, but it's actually inside the building instead of outside the building. And it has the old fashioned barber chairs inside, and you walk it up to, and it's like you're walking back into 1930. And then there's these two big thugs outside, big burly guys, right? And you do have to have a password to go in there. You had to have a password for the one in Pasadena too, but they didn't care. It looked so obvious, I guess they didn't care. But this one you do have to have a password. You have to make reservations, and you walk through the little barbershop area, which isn't very big. It's maybe like three stalls with. I don't know if it ever gets used as a barbershop, but um, there's a secret door you go into, and then there's like this whole big bar, and so that was kind of fun. So
Well,
we needed those during COVID. Hey, where can we go? I should check to see if they were open during COVID. I didn't think about it, but
didn't check to
we
see if they
needed
had
those.
COVID hours.
We needed those secret speakeasies for COVID. Hey, where can we go and be with people?
You
So
didn't check
not
to see if they had
everybody.
COVID hours. Come on over here. We're not carding you. We're not taking all the shots.
It's true. It's true. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. It's so funny. I mean, because in LA there were some places that were carding you. They wanted to make sure they wouldn't let you in unless you saw that they saw a card with their shots on it. So, um, yeah. Fortunately, that wasn't where I was, but yeah,
You were not in the anti-carded place?
I was not in the place. I was not in an area where they were carding people.
No carding for you.
No carding for me. That's my personal business.
No doubt.
That's my personal business.
Yeah, and they have to just respect that.
Right? Right?
But I don't know about this. But you have a lot of people that also get caught up in the materialism side of self love as well. So I'm wondering how much people were wondering if they were going to get their favorite chocolate or if they're going to get their favorite dinner outing or all along that line during Valentine's Day as well and everything.
Well, we used to always go out to dinner. That was a thing. I mean, we had several, and just we'd go out for a nice dinner, and we didn't get too crazy on presents, but it was just more about spending time with each other. I mean, I think everybody has their own relationship and what's okay and what's not okay.
Right.
Thank you, 60. So, but I mean, some people they want like the whole big thing, and this again has to do with what are you growing up with? What's your wealth consciousness? You
Mhm.
know, for some people, they grew up really wealthy, or what is expected of them is there, and having Louis Vuitton shoes, that's just de rigueur. You know, for my friend, this was a special thing, you know, and she's like, I don't wear them just, you know, I wear them, you know, not just once in a while. She's like, I want to enjoy wearing them. And she does. The bottoms of her feet were kind of rubbed out. And so some people, it's like, well, I demand a 5-star dinner.
Hmm.
That's what makes them feel special. That fits into their I feel good. That fits into their well consciousness of what is normal. And you have somebody else where, going to, I don't know, Rubio's might be, like they never get to go out. Going to Rubio's might be a great expression of love. It's like, hey, we're going out. It doesn't matter. You maybe got a couple kids and like they're not making money. And it's like, well, we're gonna go out. We're gonna go to Rubio's and you
Yeah,
know, give you a flower. And, I mean, so it just depends on like, where are you in life? Where are you in your wealth consciousness? Where are you in what you feel is, but love should not be about money.
it
It
shouldn't be
just,
about money, but
it
you got
shouldn't
some
be
people
about
that,
money.
yeah, but you got some people that are just like you just said. You got some people that are perfectly happy with a date to I'll think of something that's not overly cheap. So I don't know anybody's gonna be happy about a date to McDonald's, but they might be happy about a date to Red Lobster and everything and
Yeah,
all along those lines, and they'll be all right with that. But then you got other folks that want you to go to a more high end restaurant and in that space. So you got some folks, and that's probably down to that wealth consciousness, because you got somebody that might be like, yeah, you can take me out to Red Lobster or one of those other more discount kind of restaurants, so like even an Applebee's or something like that. But then there are other people that are going to be like, no, you've got to take me to something that's a little bit more high end. Like here we've got Maggiano's, which is an Italian restaurant, or some of the other restaurants that are more Japanese oriented, that are definitely a little bit on the pricier side, even the Angus Barn and a couple of others. So there might be something that people want that based on what you're talking about with wealth consciousness. But just like it comes to the house thing as well, you got some people that are perfectly fine living in a apartment or in a average house, but you got other people that want the mansion, and you got some other people I know that have even explored the idea. Even though I think that even for me that would be too small, of moving into a tiny house, because they feel that a tiny house would be
yeah.
able to work for them and everything.
I
But I
don't
don't
think I
know.
could do the tiny house.
Yeah.
But no, years ago, my first job in design, I was working for a company that did model homes.
Mm-hmm.
And we helped people who were buying those homes furnish them. And what was really amazing, this was in a very nice area of town, and the houses back then were like 500K. Nowadays, are probably worth 2 million. I
Right.
mean, easily 2 million. So these are houses on the hill, literally houses on the hill, 5,000 square foot houses. These are nice houses.
Mm-hmm.
And what I heard constantly from the other designers that were helping them, they're spending all their money on the property. They don't have any money to put into doing the upgrades on the floor, doing the upgrades on the tile, doing the window treatments, doing the furniture. And so the ladies who were in charge of doing the upgrades, they're like, I'm pulling teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying how many of these people, they bought this big house, and then they had zero money to put in it. And so they were buying IKEA, and they were going to IKEA and filling it with IKEA. And yes, eventually down the road, hopefully they were able to upgrade as the house they got more money, they got through whatever. But and especially when you're dealing with finishes like flooring and countertops and stuff like that, that stuff is expensive
Yeah.
to do later on. And so the furniture, okay, if you need to live with something inexpensive until you can do something else, that's one thing. But you don't want to skimp on window treatments. You don't want to skimp on the permanent things.
Right.
And I've been in some, I can't tell you how many houses I've been in, that very high-end houses, and crap for furniture. And
Yeah.
it's, I don't know how much of it they don't know. I don't know how much of it they don't care. I mean, if they're my clients, I educate them and I'm like, this is
Right.
what you're getting. And I had a client who her relative of hers had bought this stuff, and it was very rococo. It had all these flowers and it was kind of this cream color and just really, 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 really ornate stuff. And apparently he spent a ton of money on this, like crazy amount of money on this, which I don't know 100% that I believe by what I saw, but maybe at one time, but you know, in today's world, it's worth nothing. They couldn't get anything for it.
Well,
Um,
but
and
I'm
so they bought all of it for like half the price from
mm,
this guy. He probably couldn't have sold it to anybody else for that much, but they knew what he paid for it and all that stuff. So they filled up their house. And, you know, when we went in to go put something else in, they're just like, well, you know, we paid all this money for it. Well, you know, they got 2 rooms of furniture for $10,000, which is not a bad deal. That's a pretty good deal. And I'm not talking like little rooms. I'm talking big rooms of furniture. And so we started looking at stuff to replace it. And one of the things we did was the lady was short like me.
mm,
And so we were doing a custom sofa for her. And she wanted something more modern. This other stuff was very antique looking. It really had gone out of its style. And so we did the sofa for her. And I said, do your feet touch the floor when you sit on a chair? She goes, no. I said, mine don't either. So what if we make this like an inch shorter and then your heels will touch the floor when you sit on it? And her eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. She says,
well,
really? I can do that? Because like right now I'm sitting on my chair.
mm,
There's about an inch between my heels and the floor right now. I'm
mm,
sitting straight. I'm not even all the way back in the chair.
mm,
And my heels don't touch the floor. And this is pretty normal for people who are 5'2" and under.
right.
5'3" depends on where your legs are, but
Yeah, that
but
makes a lot.
you know, but it's like here's a comfort thing. Here's the Oreo and the 7-layer chocolate cake. Yeah,
Yep.
you can have a chair, but to have a chair that your heels touch the floor in, and you don't have to feel like Lily Tomlin and what was the Edith Ann?
Laughing.
Edith Ann, you don't have to feel like Edith Ann, and I feel like I'm a little kid even though I'm an adult.
Right.
You know, it's such a difference in having that little bit of customization. Didn't cost
But,
any more. Didn't cost any more to have the sofa be an inch shorter, but it
but
sure
speaking
made
of
a difference
customization,
in her life.
speaking of customization, I know we're winding down, but speaking of customization, I imagine you've probably seen some people because I know here in the South there are a number of people that don't just live in tiny homes, but they also are a number of folks that live in trailers. We still have trailer parks in the South and everything, and I've actually seen that in some cases the trailer parks can actually be designed almost as well as some of the regular houses, depending on how they are done and all along those lines. So I've seen some trailer parks that are willing
There's
to do some investigation into how to furnish their dwellings.
Well, I personally have not experienced that. I've never had anybody call me who lived in a trailer park. However, there is a trailer park, I guess, in Malibu, and it overlooks the ocean, and you can see the ocean from Malibu. And there is a designer, and actually, she lives in one of them, and she's decked hers all out, and she has done work for many of her neighbors, and that is one of her specialties. However, it is a very unique specialty, and because of the location of where her park is, because I mean, we're talking about $1 million. I mean, the land alone is $1 million. These are looking over Malibu, over you can the most amazing view of the beach. You're up above on the cliff, above everything, so you're not down close to traffic, and she could see like for miles on the coast and incredible view. So in that case, yeah, yeah, and they save money on the house, but the land alone, you know, and the people in that area, they had enough money that they wanted to make the trailer nice. So yes, it is. There's designers who specialize in yachts. There are designers who specialize in doing train cars,
Mhm.
custom train cars. I mean, there's designers that do nothing but boats. So
Right.
it just depends. I mean, there are designers that design the tiny houses. Not so much filling with furniture, but like doing the full design on it, which
Right.
I find fascinating.
Mhm.
I've seen some really interesting things in tiny homes, and I really like, some of those things. Um, Very clever, very, very imaginative, and you got to make every single inch count.
Yep.
And it is it's a very simplified life, and I couldn't do it because I work from home.
Mhm.
I have so much stuff with design. If you work from home and all you need is a computer, it's great. Then you can do it. But I think I'd still want to be able to get out. The ones that are nice are the ones that have nice patios, or they have a nice yard attached. Or I saw one that was really pretty, and it had the bedrooms, the living room, the kitchen, and then they had like a greenhouse almost. So,
Wow.
and that's where the bathroom was. So you had flowers and everything, and then at the very end was all these windows, and you had a bathtub, and it was gorgeous. I mean, we want to bring the outside in. That's a big thing with design. And with a small space, the more windows you have, the more you can bring the outside in, the bigger you can make the space feel. So they were using, I mean, obviously they didn't have any neighbors because, a whole window of glass in the bathroom, but it was beautiful. And a lot of times you will see a window behind the bathtub
Wow.
because it gives a sense of luxury. It brings the outdoors in. It creates a higher sense of comfort,
Mhm.
and it does make the space look bigger.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I would at some point, like I told you before, but I got to get a real house, not an apartment. I would love to get one of those glider chairs because those can be cool and everything. And I remember my grandmother having one of those. There's those chairs that kind of glide back and forth and everything.
You could have one now. Why are you waiting? Have one
Well,
now.
if I had it now, it would be in a very small apartment. I mean, I don't even know that it would because they a lot of times apartments don't allow you to have outside furniture or outside things because that is something that I know a lot of apartments regulate, and that's not just here. That's in a variety of places, so they don't allow as
But
much
if it's brand
outside.
new, who
Mhm.
cares? It's just a piece of wood on your carpet. It's going to be the same thing as if you had a recliner or a rocker.
Yeah, but then though most of the gliders that I know are more of the metal variation, so that might be the other reason they don't like them. They usually work better outside because they're usually metal kind of gliders.
But if you look, why put that dream off? Who knows when you're going to get a house? You should
That's
have
true.
that dream now. I
Yeah,
bet if you looked, you'd find something. I bet.
I have
You
to
could
look.
put a piece of wood, you could put the metal, you could screw the metal onto a piece of wood.
Yeah, that's true. I might have to. I might
And
have
you're
to experiment.
tall, so adding an inch to it's not going to matter.
You know, I have to experiment with that. I can see gliding. I've got a
Why
chair that's
not?
a roller
See,
chair.
self-love. Why are you putting off this dream? This is a big dream for you.
Yeah,
So instead of saying, I can't have it till I get a house, how can I have it now?
yeah. Adapt. Adaptation is a part of
Right?
things. Yeah. Yeah, no
Right?
doubt. No doubt. I have to adapt. Speaking of adapting, we're gonna have to adapt with some Kenju spice and all along those lines. But it's been a great show, and I'll definitely have to keep that in mind as to how I can get it. But as always, you've had some amazing insights, and I always appreciate this time with you on Friday and everything. It's almost as much fun as the concert that I went to. That's the other thing I meant to tell you. I did not go to a real concert, but I went to a play. So I got to see last earlier this week Ain't Too Proud. Well, actually, it was last Thursday, but it was
Oh
Ain't Too
yeah.
Proud, which was that Temptations thing. That's right. I did tell you about that last week, but that was fun. Got to hear all of that great music, so that was fun. And now I got to figure out the next time that I'll go see another play or another concert. But yeah, that was a good time. So I have to figure out a way to hopefully they're coming out to California because I do know that they're traveling around the country. So maybe they'll make it out to the West. And if I hear that, I'll let you know so that you can
I
go check it
appreciate
out
that.
as well. Cool. But right now, let's check out Kendu Spices as we get on out of here. And I'll let you get back to dealing with our guest star, Miss Dixie. Because I did see that Dixie was having way too much fun. I think that was the name of the cat.
She's sitting right next to the computer now. She's in that lion pose of, yes, I am queen of my jungle.
Yeah.
But she's settled down. She does that every now and then. She'll just walking back and forth across me, and I'm like, you can't do that right now. All right,
Cannot do
let's
it.
go do
But
some
this was
Kendu spice.
All right, sounds good.
You know how people love to enjoy food and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements but don't know where to begin? Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Can Do Spice was created to help cooks at any level enjoy healing through food. Every spice blend was designed to give added health benefits of natural herbs. Every blend is complete. There's no need to add any additional spice for a delicious meal. Saving you time and money while adding supplements to your meals can be both tasty and fun. My earliest memories in the kitchen began with my father, Kenny Can Do Bond, so it was fitting that I would name this line after him. I have always looked to natural remedies to supplement the body, and I found myself hiding herbs and minerals in foods for my family. That's when it hit me. Everyone needs Can Do Spice. Everyone should be having this. It's an exclusive brand for cooks at any level who want to create flavorful dishes with healing benefits that can satisfy the body and soul. Add a little spice to your life. Give Can Do Spice a try.